Kenny, after last night, some of the guys were talking about having a sense of urgency, right, to start the game. How do you manufacture that, or where's the focus in the sense of urgency area at this point in the season?
I mean, it is 3 games, so first of all, let's not overreact. That being said, we talked about there's playoff urgency, right, where we are. So if you get off to a bad start in the playoffs, or I can lose you a game, and then you're chasing it, and I think that's what's happened to us, right? Poor starts, and now you start chasing it, right? And then to come back, you need more energy. You expend a lot of energy. Excuse me, and then you pay for that down the right 2 games later. The other night we had to play Darius. We were playing 12 straight, 39 minutes. We're chasing. Sure, you want your best players out there. I don't regret it, but when you get off to a good start, kind of keeps everything in order, and you can approach the game a little bit more diligently, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you talked about this a little bit last night, but what's the correlation between not making shots and defense? And I guess how do you make there not be a correlation?
Yeah, you got to have a mental toughness and a resiliency to miss. We were missing, right? I don't know. We were missing a lot, and do you have the discipline, the resiliency, the toughness to still get back, not hang your head, the whole thing, we didn't do a great job of that. That was disappointing, and that's going to happen in the playoffs. Your defense is going to get better. You're going to miss shots. Are you going to? We just can't rely on shot making and on our offense. So that's a little bit of a concern right now.
Because we've seen a lot from Donovan's leadership style this year, but when we talk about his just overall, just his impact on the team, on the community, what have you seen in your first year coaching him, and how he's impacted all different areas of the game?
We were talking on the plane last night. Even when we're struggling, he knows the moment he has to pick it up, and I don't know how he knows, but he knows. I'm not on the sideline saying, "Hey, time to pick it up, Don," or we'll feel run a play for him, but it's more he sees, and it's not in a selfish way. It's like, okay, now I have to help the team. And he's just got that sense, and then he's kind of stoic, right? Like he just, we're struggling last night. He's the same. You wouldn't know if we're up 20, up by 20 or down by 20. He just keeps that same demeanor, and he'll give one or two, pushes to the guys. Hey, we're not making shots. Still sprint back. We still got to rebound. And coming from him, coming from your superstar, it's the impact is great. So he's in the prime, not only of his playing career, but also his maturity and leadership style.
We got to see Javante in his first true minutes last night. Obviously, in the first half, he didn't have the glowing numbers that he did in the fourth quarter, but he still was doing the little things, and then got to show off in the fourth quarter a little bit with his scoring. What did you like about his overall game?
First of all, we needed him, and I felt like we needed his athletic. We're playing against a very fast, athletic team, and he supplied. He supplies that. We know that, but I think he has what they call sneaky feel for the game. When you really watch him and watch him closely, I thought he made 2 great dish-off passes to J.A., like just quick, like this guy's got a feel. He can pass the ball and knows when to cut. Was he plus 24 last time? We needed. I don't think we win that game without him. Great job by our front office. Identifying him, right? Like there's a guy. Buyout guy, and those guys are, a lot of times they don't have an impact on your team. So already, he's gotten us a win, helped us get us a win. So, good job by him.
John. Hey, Coach. I want to ask about DeAndre and sort of what you see from him already in the 9 games he's been with you, and where you see him maybe going with you guys going forward.
John, you know this, and I think I said a lot. Great pedigree. Why, honestly, like he comes from a great program. His fundamental. Everybody talk about his defense and ACC Defensive Player of the Year, but his offensive fundamentals are very good. So he can pivot with both feet. He's a good passer, good decision maker. Plays under control. And then you add the size, the positional size, 7'2" wingspan. I think I've told everybody, I called Tony Bennett, before this trade was made, and I had a long discussion with him. And Tony doesn't BS you, right? Like, you're getting it straight, and everything he said is true. And I'm surprised how quickly he's adjusted, right? Like normally, John played in the league, guy comes in, takes a couple weeks, understand the plays, understand concepts, defensive call, whatever it is, and he's just, obviously smart guy. So he's been stellar, A plus so far.
Jim.
Kenny, in the spirit of playoff adjustment today during the regular season, what sort of postseason-ish test does it present to you guys to go up against the Eric Spoelstra coach?
Yeah, it's great. Anytime we play the Miami Heat, I have so much respect for their program. I say this every time we play them, but it's worth repeating. They're so well coached. They're not going to beat themselves, and it's always a challenge when you go into get a great coach. And I don't know if Spo gets enough credit, for how much he adjusts. Like he's sure they have a basic philosophy and they stick with it and they're good, but he'll change defenses on you. I remember when I was with the Knicks and we had Carmelo and we played him. He fronted Carmelo everywhere, even at the 3-point line. And I'd never seen it before, and it was a Shane probably, right? And Carmelo's posted up, and there's Shane, So he's got a great, obviously there's a great foundation, great tradition, all that, but he's also extremely imaginative, and those are the guys, from a coaching, they're hard to go against, and man, we have to play this team in the first round. We know we got our hands full.
I think another layer of the Hunter trade was the big bet you guys made on Ty being sustainable. We talk about that a lot. What are you seeing from Ty? Now that we look forward at playoff basketball skills, because that will translate to the postseason.
Everything's translated with him, so you could, there could be an argument, well, he hasn't done it in the playoffs, and he's got to obviously got to prove himself and all that, but everything's trending that way. And I'll just say his size, right? Even when we played the Celtics in the Elite Team, like he can hold his own. 6'5.5", almost 6'6". He's strong. He knows how to play passing lanes. High steal guy, savvy, and then toughness. Toughness is off the charts. Bravado. He's got that. And you see him last night, right? He scores like he's got some stuff to him, right? Like he's a competitor, real high level competitor. So I don't expect him to miss a beat, once we get to the playoffs.
Joe
Coach, Isaac and Dean kind of both went out with injury around the same time and with the same length of time. And while they did, the team kind of evolved. What's the challenge getting them back into the groove that they were in?
It's a challenge. It's a challenge. And especially with DeAndre in the mix now, just integrating those guys. But, that's why they pay us the big bucks. Like quite honestly, like you got to figure it out, right? And I felt like we did a good job with Isaac. Like we felt Isaac. We needed Isaac last night. We needed his athleticism, size, and so we played him more. And there's some games where Isaac, I look at the stat sheet, I'm like, man, 12 minutes. Like that's all we played him. We have this plethora of wings now, and throw Sam Merrill in there, right? Like Sam, if you guys told me you should be playing Sam more right now, I'd say you're right. It's just, you look at the numbers, you look at how he plays, you look at how he competes, you look at how he shoots, And you know, that's the one thing where this is a challenge for us as a staff. It's really going to be game to game. It's really going to be feeling the game, and if it's a playoff series, the series, and see who, you know, is going to get the minutes. But with those guys, it's been, you know, a challenge. But they're two great guys. They got great spirit. You know, Isaac was coming off the bench first. Remember, you know, back in, you know, Dean early was coming. Now we got Ty and DeAndre, so they're coming off the bench, and they've earned that, right? And so it'll evolve. It's a great problem to have, having this much depth, but it's definitely something you got to manage.
Last one, Spence.
Been adamant about how switching is going to be important in the playoffs. When you have the individual defenders you just talked about that can hold their own, is there ever a thought to let them stay true to their assignment rather than switch?
We talked about it. We did that a little bit against the Celtics with Dre. Like, man, just you know, let's not switch. Let's just try to keep the matchup. You know, they pick on DG or any of our guys, and you know, we have a coverage for that. So that's definitely something we have in our back pocket. I do like to get reps where we just you gotta switch, you gotta guard your yard, you gotta get your shell in place. But there's a place where Isaac, Dean, Dre, those guys keep in their matchups. Put Evan in that category too. If he guards a wing, you don't want to switch. You want to keep the matchup. So that's something to keep an eye on. Something you have to have in your bag for the playoffs.
And then just curious, with 13 deep that you said that are contributing right now, why is it that you do want to uptick the minutes of some of your starters headed towards the postseason? Can you kind of explain, if something's working right now, like why can't that work in the playoffs?
It can work in the playoffs, but you also want your best players ready to log the big minutes if they have to, and they will have to. There's no doubt about it. So, and if they haven't had that, I'm talking like, you know, sports science here. Like if they haven't had that exposure, enough exposures to the high minutes, you know, they're not used to it, and so and it makes sense to me, right? Are we going to do that with 10 of our guys? No. Are we going to do it with our top guys? And we know kind of how many exposures they need, you know, before the playoffs. And you don't want to do the opposite. I've seen that mistake made where you start sitting them, you got to lead, and like that doesn't work. We actually want to start ramping our best players up with a plan in mind.